Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to attempt to do this video without editing, and that's kind of my big goal here. So this is going to be my sort of 2024 year in review, as well as my 2025 Techo Kaigi. I will start with this year. I think that makes more sense. So I began the year with just these two books, which are dirty. So this is the Sterling Ink N1 Vertical Full Year Common Planner. I'll just show you today. I started off this book because it was my one and only book. I was really using it for pre-planning as well as memory keeping, as well as it, of course, being my entire notebook as well. So today, it looks a little more like this. I did block out some stuff over here, so there's not normally a big pink strip. But I'm essentially just post-planning, I guess people would call it. I'm really memory keeping. This is for me. I have ADHD and I'm on the spectrum, and so I struggle with what I'm actually doing in a day as well as losing huge chunks of time. And so this really both helps keep me kind of on track, because if I'm keeping up throughout the day, I can see like, oh no, 5 hours has already gone by and I've lost a lot of time. How can I sort of reset the day? And that's really helpful to me. The only I don't love this simply because, actually, I'll go into that later. This is just an overview. And then this in the back, this contains everything. So my dailies are very, very full. And I'm already almost done. I think I only have 63 pages left for the rest of the year, and it's October 24th. So, and I'm definitely set to run out sooner because I have just been on the warpath using up my notes pages recently. And I also already have some of these back ones used up for color swatches and stuff. So, you know, because of that, I'm going to be finishing this pretty soon. All right, next up, in the middle of the year, I'll just leave it on camera. Oh, wait, I forgot this part. This is my journal. I'm not going to show it to you because it's my journal, but that's the gist. I haven't ended up using that much of it because I ended up doing so much journaling in this. What would happen is I would start writing thinking, I'm just going to talk about like stationery or hobbies. I'm sort of just rambling about little notes, little thoughts about my hobbies, because that's most of my thoughts are just thoughts about my interests. And so I would start with that, but then I would sort of start including like more personal journaling. And then I'm like, well, I'm not going to switch over partway through. That's, you know, strange and would feel weird. I'm trying to find the little collage I made because I thought it was cute. Hold on. Anyway, and so I ended up really not using nearly as much of this journal as I would have liked to. I made this collage because I accidentally like just skipped this page in my journal, and I was like, well, I might as well put a collage here, but then I didn't finish it, so there's the rest of the pages if anyone's curious. So anyway, I'm not sure how I'm gonna quite finish this up because there's quite a lot of pages left. I do want to keep it as a journal. It would feel weird to transition it to something else at this point. I just don't know how it's gonna like integrate into me finishing using it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. In June, I added these two. So this ended up being pure pre-planning. So this is just my, I'll show you a little bit further forward. This is just my calendar. Very, very simple. And yeah, that's fine. And this is my weekly. It usually looks a lot fuller. This is next week, so not that much pre-planning done yet. And so this for me is just to help kind of keep my brain on straight. And here I put a lot of detail. And then the back is just like random notes. Kind of stuff when I don't have my big book around, or I don't know. I'm still working out kind of the tiny notebook. I think I intended to use it as like a parking lot system for ADHD. I hope I don't have to block out my driver's license. I was originally planning to use this, yeah, as like sort of a parking lot for ADHD, which is that you always keep a little notebook by your side, and then every time you have like a distracting thought or something that you have an urge to go take care of because you're so worried that you'll forget it, you can put it in your parking lot immediately. But the problem is, I don't just like keep this out, right? Because it's not that kind of notebook exactly. This is usually in my bag, and then I pull it out as I need it. And so, yeah, I haven't quite figured out how that situation's going yet, but I ended up really liking this as a system because I was able to be a little bit more just like sloppy and not worry so much about it being accurate to what actually ended up happening. So for example, let's say next week I don't go to Pilates, right? Something happens, something gets in the way, I don't feel good, whatever, and I don't go. I am not worried about like crossing this out and like making it clear that I didn't go. I don't care. This thing is entirely for me to know what the week brings because I don't see time very well. That's all this is. I don't care. In this book, I was in a situation where I was carrying a lot and it was really annoying, which is why this ended up kind of being a post thing. The last book I added, and I'm probably just not going to open this up really. I mean, I'll show you the layout, but that's the layout. It's just same size as the Hobonichi Weeks, but it's the sterling ink version. I've been using this as a health planner. Actually, maybe I can show you the page I'm currently on. Hold on, I'll just take a look-see real quick. Yeah, this is fine, whatever. Okay. So when I started this off, I was primarily using it to track like the more physical side of chronic illness. So I was specifically tracking like the workout program I was doing. If I took a supplement, I tracked that, things like that. And then I would track like major symptoms or really difficult things. But over time, it just didn't feel holistic enough. And I don't know, the way that my brain was working in my vertical, I was sort of struggling. I wanted someplace to like write out what was happening with the day. And so I ended up kind of transitioning to this, where I'm really writing throughout the day, sort of how I'm feeling, how things are going. I am still doing like some exercise writing here, but I'm going to be honest, I'm just not that focused on exercise at the moment, or like an exercise program necessarily. Most of my focus is on like nervous system regulation work, which is what this little thing is. This is for like morning, afternoon, before bed nervous system work tracker. I've not been updating it. And then this is for like belief work and kind of mindset stuff. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with this. I don't want to go too far into the whole chronic illness thing at this time, but I have like dysautonomia or POTS, whatever you want to call it. I don't really see chronic illness that way, though. I could always talk about that more in the future. But yeah, this is kind of holding that. The back pages, this, which I am absolutely not showing you, is my cycle tracker. There's a lot of detail in here. Maybe I can do like an edited version in the future if anyone wants that, where I'm like removing some of the information that needs to be removed. And then after that, let's see, I saved some pages. I had workout stuff after that, which I mentioned. Oh, where'd they go? I mentioned that when I first started this book, it was mostly a workout book. So I had my exercise logs in here. If anyone's curious, I was doing the CHOP program for POTS, which is also called the Levine Protocol. And then I did not anymore. And then all of this kind of back section is like belief work from the program I was doing. I was doing Primal Trust for a while, and then this is like sort of my own belief work. Again, I can get into all of that in the future if you want. It is not super relevant to a Techo Kaigi, so I'll skip it. And sort of my reflections about all of this is that hate having this many books. I cannot tell you how hard it is on me. And so going into this next year, I ran around a lot. I actually started planning for 2025, like what my system, roughly in February or March. I was already thinking about tweaks, which is how I ended up adding these for testing purposes. And then I've sort of just kept on to them because I'm perfectionistic like that. And so here is my system for 2025. These going. This also going. And this is what we are planning to keep. This will stay exactly the same. It'll just be the new version. By the way, I have to say, I actually think I prefer the... Yes. I actually think I prefer the new version because I got them in the mail, a month or so ago. And I actually think the slightly darker lines actually look better. I didn't think I would like it, but I do. And also they have the new little section at the beginning. I can also do a video on that. No one cares about that in this specific situation. So keeping this pretty much exactly as it is. The only thing I'm swapping is that in my current week, I am doing the to-buy here and then sort of to-dos down here. I'm going to be axing the to-dos, I think. And just really keeping this upper section. I don't really know what I'll use the extra space for, if anything. I'm going to keep to buy here probably because that seems pretty functional for like carrying this around daily. I don't know. We'll see. Because this really is like my throw in my purse. It fits everywhere. Oh my god, I didn't even introduce what this is. This is the Moterm Passport Companion. So it's a TN style. And then I have the sterling ink passport booklets in it. That's the monthly, that is the vertical, and then this is actually just the notebook that came with the cover. But next month for next year I got the sterling ink version of this. Although I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like the thicker paper for the notebook because I can, I don't know, just like dig into it and not fret so much, but it is what it is. Whatever. And I use a Pilot friction in this book. This is the 0.4 body, but the refill I have in it is actually the Friction Synergy 0.3 tip instead of the 4. And it's like the newer ink style. It's supposed to be darker. Really, I don't know. I just like the finer tip. Let's see. Okay, I had to get the Hobonichi Spy family. I didn't have an A5 cover at all, and I've never bought any Hobonichi accessories before. I did use a cousin and a Weeks last year. This is what I used for the entire year, and then this I just did the second half of the year. I experimented with these, but I never bought any like accessories or anything for them. And so I was like very excited, but inside of it, we actually have a sterling ink daily A5. It's actually not called a common planner when it's like this. This is just a A5 daily planner is what it's called. Accessory wise, I did get the rest of the Spy family collection, as well as the pencil board. Side note, the measurements on the sterling ink website are incorrect. It's actually 3 millimeters narrower than it says it is. It's 145. It says it's 148. And so the Hobonichi accessories actually stick out the side, just an FYI. And then this is just a B6 booklet. Let's start the tour here. This is going to be... This is going to be my kind of main everything book, where this year this ended up being a memory keeper. This is essentially going to replace it. And I think the point here is that with this, I really can't put a high level of detail about the other things going on in my day. This is just tracking my time. And then all of my details about the day end up going into like the health planner, or they end up in like the notes section in the back, and it's just kind of like hard to keep track of. And so my thought was that by switching to this kind of layout, this will give me a lot of room to just focus on all the little daily things. And so my current plan is for maybe about, and obviously I'm gonna experiment with this, like I will be playing around with layouts. My current plan, I think half, like using half of this for time tracking is a little too much, but I think maybe about a third would be comfortable. And for reference, make sure that shows up. Hopefully it looks nice and lined up on the camera for you guys. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes. Okay, so that cuts off right there. Would be the equivalent. And so I think that by even opening that up to like here, that'll give me plenty of time or plenty of space to do pretty like detailed time tracking. But then I have all of this space to do my other stuff for the day. So I'm thinking I can easily do like morning gratitude, wins. I can write down any like scripture reading I did for that day, any nervous system inner work I did that day, and sort of keep track of those things. Down here, on sort of this quadrant, I guess, or I could use the whole bottom section, I guess. Again, the specifics are whatever at this time. I'm planning to use this essentially for how I was writing my days in my health planner. So sort of just long form where I can write out my day as a whole, about how I felt about it. Sort of the emotion or like word sense as opposed to just looking at the schedule and what I did. I think this is really, really good for me. This is going to allow me to kind of combine both things. I sort of have a vertical and a horizontal planner now, while also maintaining the weekly schedule that I so desperately need. In addition to that, this is where I don't know why I'm still holding this, like, for pointing purposes, but this is a hair stick, by the way, if anyone's curious. Okay, that is where this is going to come in. I do feel like, to some extent, I might still need some kind of weekly, and this is not going to be weekly as in, like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type thing. Probably it's going to be an Alastair method, and I probably should have had an example of an Alastair. I do have one under my desk that I used to keep, but whatever. The idea is, you know what? Never mind. You can Google Alastair. Maybe I'll put a video in the comments or something. But essentially, this is like a to-do list that you would go down and then it'll track throughout. And my plan is to sort of do categories of to-dos. So more like big or like home, family stuff, sort of like personal goals, maybe like inner work or like church specific stuff, whatever it is. For me, I really have to like compartmentalize things, or like categorize things to understand them. If I just have a giant list of stuff to do, like what is currently in the passport, I get confused. I don't know. I can't keep track of everything. And so I think having these side by side will be really, really helpful for me, because I can pop this open and kind of see what all I have to do, what's coming up, all of those things. But then I can come in here and just look at the single day without having to look at the week as a whole and being as overwhelmed. I haven't used a daily planner since college, but I really, really loved them at the time, and they worked so well for me. I wasn't even using a daily planner, actually. I was using a notebook, almost like the most unorganized Bujo you've ever heard of, because I don't think Bujo was like a big popular thing yet. It might not even have been created yet. I'm not sure. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this as a concept. We'll see how it goes. In terms of the front, I haven't 100% decided exactly how this is going to go yet. I do think with all this space, I really want to focus on like fun that I'm having and like good that I'm doing in here, since especially this is more of like a memory keeper sort of inner work type book. I think that makes sense. This one really doesn't have all of the other stuff that the common planners have. Like it does, there's no goal section, as you can see, and instead of the quarterlies that the other one has, it has like the Hobonichi cousin style like index pages. I'm not 100%, I haven't fully decided on this either, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but probably when I start doing actual setups I can talk about this more. I'm still mulling things over, you know, we're figuring it out. I love systems, I love systemizing, this is really, really fun for me, so that's what I've got going on. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. For anyone that's not familiar with this layout, there are, I believe, only 37 blank note pages in the back, and then there are some spread throughout the months. So, let's see here. Get to the end of a month. Yeah, we have the 31st, and then 2 blank pages, a blank for the whole month of August that you can use as you want, and then August 1st begins. And so you have 2 to 3, depending on how long each month is, blank pages after each month. I don't know what I'm going to do with that either, because I don't do great with like inconsistency. If it was all 2 or all 3, I think I'd be fine. I know how to use it. But 2 or 3, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And then the 37, I'm going to end up doing those like big cycle tracking charts things that I currently have. They're currently in here. I started the year with them in here. They're going to move to here. And I'm actually really excited about that because I can do 2 full pages for all of them. And I think that'll be really, really good. That'll also use up quite a lot of the pages, which is good because I don't think I'm going to use like a ton of this. I think this is mainly going to be the large year-long collections. And then all of the like insane rambles that, you know, I currently have clogging up this are going to be moving to the Stalogy, which I'm pretty excited about. I've never had a B6 full year Stalogy. My only previous Stalogy, which I know is around here somewhere, but oh, I don't know where I stuck it. Anyway, I just had an A6 half year one. And I don't really feel like I utilized it in this way. I used it very differently. So I was a little bit unsure about this, but my current plan, I'm like pre-planning my system already. So these are the tabs I've picked out. They're not actually sticking out. As you can see, this is just for my organization. And then this is my kind of current plan for categorizing. I'm actually kind of taking a concept from a YouTuber and Instagrammer called ADHDone or ADHDone, depending on which platform. I'll link it below though. She super inspired me with this concept. So what she does is that she has, her tabs are labeled. They're not just like colored. So hers are labeled. So it might say like work, personal. I know her one down here is ADHD, like whatever. She has all these categories. And then instead of like with this, my tabs just go in order, right? Like I just go down, they're all kind of the same color. And then I'm writing on each one what the specific category is. So I have like wish list written. She would not do that. She just has her pre-labeled tabs and they're always in the same spot. So for example, anytime I may be doing goal planning, that tab is always going to go right here. Anytime I have like notes on my studies, that tab always goes in this line. And so what happens is when you are shuffling through this, you can just look, maybe like I go through my big pile here and I can just go through all of these. If I need to look at my journaling, I will just go down here and I will look through my pile and I can flip through them very easily. Personally, where I'm differing from Kim or ADHDone, is that I am going to keep the part of the system where I write the specifics here. I really, really like this. It works really well for me, and I just love doing the labeling, I guess. And so the difference is I'm going to have a lot more of them. Like here, there's really not that many tabs, and the orange ones are all months. But I really kept it light to only things that I thought were huge and that I would be coming back to regularly. And so I am going to keep this part of the system where Maybe for journaling, you know, I would write the date of that entry. Or here, let's say I'm talking about like game. I'm talking about Pikmin 4. I don't know what I would be writing about that. Maybe like Stardew Valley makes more sense or something. Or, you know, like my stationery thoughts, I might put the category, or maybe I'm putting like specs. I would put the category there. Same with all of these. Like for maybe I'm doing like a religion class, I would write like catechism class or catechumen class and like the date that I did it. And so for me, this will help keep me more organized. The other thing is because I'm moving to a Stalogy, which I was a little nervous about because they're not page numbered and I'm not planning to page number them. I think this will make it easier for me to find everything. So that is my plan. And I think it'll be a little bit simpler. I know technically I think it's the same number of books. Because let's see. I'm so messy. This year I technically have the passport, the health planner, the main planner, which isn't really a main planner anymore. It's like a memory keeper plus notebook, and then the journal that I abandoned early on. So technically this is a 4-book system. And this, you know, it depends on, I guess, whether you consider, I don't know why I'm trying to do this and get the camera in frame in the weirdest way. It depends on whether you consider the booklet a part, but I just can, like, I'm really considering this to be a companion to my daily. So to me, these are like the same. That just is what it is. Like, I'm considering this one and the same. I don't have to use this. It's not dated. For me, when I consider a book, I'm considering either like something like this, where it's dated and I feel like I have to fill it out. Like, and sometimes it almost feels burdensome to do so. Or, you know, something like this, which is technically, like, I don't have to fill it out. But it is a book I'm kind of still carrying around a little bit. So, yeah, this I consider more of a supplement. So really we're at 3 things. You know, I don't really know what to say. To me, it personally feels a little bit simpler. It feels like I'm simplifying. And I think that's mostly because I'm reducing the redundancy of the situation. Because with these 2 books, I really feel like I'm overlapping information frequently. Like, I wish these were together. That would make my life easier, as if, you know, I had this, but then, you know, I could somehow have the other text right below it. And so that's kind of my, like I said, that's my plan for this one, is that I'll have the time tracking here, and then I can have all of that other stuff in here. So I'm actually mashing together not only the weeks from this and the weeks from this, but also a lot of the notes pages from this. And so I'm hoping that this will be a little bit simplified. I do think the hiccup I'm going to run into is that this is very large. It is large, it is in charge. And so, you know, for example, this doesn't fit in my like favorite purse. So, I mean, it is a good thing that I'm keeping this, and this is always an option. And even this will fit in almost all my bags, except for my really, really tiny one. I don't know what I was making the point. Oh, yes, travel. So as this gets chonky, you know, I can see this kind of becoming a little bit of an issue down the line. But my thought is that, you know, I don't really see myself like taking this directly into my classes with me, because, for example, I'm not taking notes on this anymore. This is now like all me, all inner type stuff. It's either my daily planning, or it's my inner work and like belief work that I have to be doing, or it's like my religious studies, as opposed, And then all of those sort of daily rambles and things that were in the other book can now go in here, which is a little bit more portable. So I think it's going to be okay. And then if I am in a situation where I'm like, oh, I wish I had this to, you know, be time tracking all day. I think about, like, I went to the Renaissance Fair this year, and I obviously would not have, like, carried this around with me all day. Because it's, you know, it's quite heavy. It's pretty big. That would be kind of crazy. I would risk it getting like wet or dirty or oily. But I did want to go back later that day and write down like the things I did throughout the day. Like exactly which show was I watching at noon, or which foods did I eat, which shops did we go to, whatever it is, like all the stuff that happened. So what I actually did was I just went back through my camera roll and my phone, and I checked all the times for everything, and then I went and wrote them in later. Alternatively, I could just write those kind of notes in here and then transfer them later. It's not too big of a deal. Side note, I really like how like cute this is. It's very nice. It's a good vibe. So yeah, that is my general plan for next year. And you know, this is my first unedited video ever, and I'm very self-conscious about it. So everyone, please be nice. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to hopefully making more stuff in the future now that it won't be such a, you know, scary editing nightmare, right? Okay, thanks again. Bye. Oh, I hate the hand wavy thing. Never do that again.